Again, thank you for tuning in. I sure appreciate you. This is Bro Diallo with the Bro Diallo Show. Oh. And we have a lot to cover today. I'm playing a little bit of catch up. Again, I've been saying September. I've yet to reach October with the rest of y'all. And I apologize. But it's October the 12th in the year of your Lord, 2016. And I've been avoiding talking about U.S. politics because U.S. politics is whack. The Democratic Party, whack. The Republican Party, whack. The U.S. Senate, whack. The U.S. Supreme Court, whack. Pan-African Revolution, that's tight as F. If you've been anywhere near the internet past couple of weeks, you might know what I'm horribly trying to reference. But anyway, yeah, U.S. politics is whack. U.S. democracy is an insult to the very notion of the rule of people. That's what democracy means, right? The rule of people. But the U.S. is not truly a democracy. The founding fathers, the founding pedophiles, the founding rapists, the founding, enslavers, the founding land thieves, they made sure that the United States would never be a true democracy because they had this concept called leveling impulses of the masses. And the leveling impulses of the masses was basically, if people were given an opportunity to improve their life or their standing, they're going to take it. And that's called a leveling impulse. So if you're in a system that is unfair, or if you're in a system that is relatively fair, but you just haven't been in a position to improve your personal standing, then you're going to take action to improve yourself. And there's one category of people that fail to do that. And I had to say I'm part of that category, which is African people. In the United States, Afro-American, Black Americans, colored people. And that's because of a process that Bobby Wright identified and greatly detailed and explained to us called menticide. And he said that menticide is the process of menticide is the systematic destruction of the people's mind, with the ultimate goal being the destruction of that people in person, in the flesh. And menticide, the processes and the system and the condition of menticide prevents people from cognizing, from thinking, to conceptualizing things. And when you can't conceptualize, you can't think things out, then you can't really conceive of the proper actions. And menticide was embarked upon after Africans in a relatively short period of time. When you look at the overall history of enslavement, and this is not even what I wanted to talk about, but it's a rabbit hole that I hope I can escape from soon so I can get back to my topic. But when you look at the history of enslavement, the Slavic people where slave came from, because slavery was born out of feudalism, the European peasant class, and it was made a global phenomenon. But ultimately, what I want to say is Africans in our formal chattel enslavement time of bondage was one of the shortest enslavement eras, epochs, even though we're still in slavery and we're not yet free. We spent a relatively shortest amount of time under that bondage than any other group of people who came under conquest and enslavement. And I know we like to think because of the process of menticide, our history starts and ends with slavery, but that's just not the case. But that's not really what I'm talking about. What I wanted to talk about is how whack American democracy is. It sucks. It's crappy. But since the people with the nuclear bomb says this is not only a democracy, it's the greatest democracy in the world, you just have to nod yes if you don't want your brains blown out. If you don't want to be nuked, if you don't want Marines running up in your piece, if you don't want to be sodomized by a blade like Gaddafi, or, to see your sons murdered like, what's his name, Saddam, Uday and, Pikachu, whatever Saddam Hussein's children's name are. If you don't want to be brutally hunted and murdered like Patrice Lumumba, if you don't want to be usurped by the CIA, economic hitman, jackals, and like Kwame Nkrumah, you got to get with the program. So if the boss man say, hey, you know, you work a crappy job, underpaid, underappreciated, under-resourced, and he comes and says, isn't this a wonderful company? Yes, a boss. Isn't this, you wouldn't want to work anywhere else than here, would you, boy? No, sir, boss. So that's pretty much where we are. This is the democracy we got. As the wonderful investigative journalist that I suggest everyone should go to DuckDuckGo, which is a non-tracking search engine, unlike Google, that profiles you and sells you to the highest bidder, including government agencies or private corporations. But you DuckDuckGo Greg Palast. He said this is the best democracy money can buy. But we know anytime you put a monetary price on something, you degrade it. So what does that mean to say we have the best democracy money can buy? That's like saying I have the sexiest woman money can buy. That makes her a prostitute, right? If you know. Let's say I have the nicest car money can buy. That makes it a product, a commodity. So the United States has the best democracy money can buy. And money inherently devalues a thing. And remember, democracy is supposed to be this thing from on high, this highest pinnacle of human intellectual achievement. I want to touch the mic, but King Dita is like said, I touch the mic too much, I adjust the mic too often. And now I'm self-conscious about that. So I'm going to try to avoid, especially after I get off live, then I'm going to be all over the mic. But while I'm on live, I'm going to avoid touching the mic. So anyway, so what do? Some of our people say, you know, the U.S. democracy sucks, so we shouldn't vote. A lot of our short-sighted, and I'm going to say the S word, stupid, and the I word, idiotic black leaders, black nationalists, black militant leaders tell black people disengage from the U.S. political system. Because it's whack. I admit it's whack. I admit the Democrats are whack. And the Republicans, as whack as the Democrats are, the Republicans is even more so whack. And so we have a lot of we have some short-sighted, stupid idiots who tell us, well, you should vote Republican. The Democrats have failed us, blah, 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 the black conservatives. And Key and Peele had some really good skits on black conservatives. I mean, just hit them, nail. Now, I'm from the Midwest, you know, Missouri. I mean, Chicago likes to front like it's Midwest, but it's more of a major city. It's more of a New York, Philly type feel to New York. You don't come to Chicago thinking you're going to get a you got to go to southern rural Illinois, you know, but you got to go at least Kansas City, St. Louis. Yeah, I'm extracting, you know, I'm revoking Chicago's Midwest pass because it's not, you know, y'all got public transit, you know, and you know, really shyster connected corporatist lawyers as mayors. You know, this city, y'all got too many characteristics of the big eastern cities to truly be Midwestern. But I'm from the Midwest, and I fully, as most Midwesterners knows, I fully know what a black conservative looked like, a black Republican, a black man who would consciously, even though he can maybe afford a house or a condo, would consciously buy a trailer, park, house. You know, I know what black conservatism is. And so they say go Republican. But then the militants, the nationalists, you know, the people who got the made in China Kintikov dashikis. The cats who went to, you know, where did they get those black berets? I never see them. I mean, you got to be, I guess, connected in the black national to get, where are they even getting black, where did T.I. get that black beret? Now, I know where y'all get the kente cloth made in China, you know. But wherever, I mean, shoot, I mean, I guess that alone is an effort. So you can't say T.I. ain't done nothing for the community that he's fronting, because just to secure that beret. Because where do you see, tell me right now, think, where if you wanted within the next 5 minutes you needed a black beret, where you gonna go? Where they don't even sell berets anymore. Maybe he's still in France. But anyway, you got the militants that say, oh, and who's the newest militant black nationalist? Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon. Man, y'all didn't let Nick Cannon, who left the barn door open and let this fool into the movement? Oh my goodness. Okay, and Nick Cannon saying we ain't voting, that'll show you. It's like, what are we showing white folks by not voting? Because guess what white folks been doing? They've been trying to prevent us from voting since the Emancipation Proclamation. You know? So how are we showing our aggressor, our oppressor, showing them how militant and down we are by not voting? You know, that's like somebody, I just recently had my bikes, my bike, my wife's bike, my kids' bike, our bikes were stolen. And it's like, I get a new bike and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to show you, I'm going to never lock my bike up. I'm going to leave it right here on the front line and walk away from it. That'll show you. So, these are a lot of knee-jerk reactionary reactions. Politics corrupt. Politics dysfunctional. No real representation in the political system. And I'm not going to vote. I'm going to detract from the political system. But here's the rub. Even if you detract from the political system, you're still subject to political policies. And here's another thing that more intelligent groups do. Because you have people who have no love for America, like the Russian government under Vladimir Putin. You have economies and nations that have contrary interests that diverge from the U.S. on a lot of, like the Chinese government. You have allies of the United States, but they still, you know, have some level of conflict or competition, like Great Britain or the Zionist state of Israel. And they all expend a great amount of resources both studying and working to influence U.S. electoral politics. Because why? Because that's what people in power do. They engage their political environment, they engage their economic environment, and they engage their ecological environment. People in power, you can't let nothing slide. If you've ever ran a small business, you pay attention to the cash register, but you got to pay attention to inventory. You got to watch loss. You got to watch your employees, or in the case of a cooperative enterprise, your co-owners. You got to engage every aspect. You got to make sure everything from the books are balanced to the toilet is scrubbed. If you have a public restroom, you know, you got to make sure the morale of your co-workers or your co-owners is up. You got to pay attention to everything. You can't just say, I'm gonna just focus on this component of my business. It's like, I'm just gonna focus on the quality of food and making sure our licensure is up, but I'm never going to look in the bathroom. I'm never going to wipe the tables. I'm just not going to focus on the hygienics of my business. So if you're a black national leader, Dr. Umar and others, telling your people not to vote, you're basically saying, or not to engage the political process, you're saying, okay, I'm going to deal with the education of my people. I'm going to deal with the economics of my people, but I'm not going to develop any type of political platform, political strategy, and political engagement. You know, and you think any policies that come down from the federal, state, local governments, because you have divested in influencing or using what power you can to impact that, you're exempt from it? Because guess what? If you open a school, and then you say, well, there's a local school board election, there's a local policy initiative, you know, there's an issue on redistricting, and they could just pin mightier than store, you know, make your institution illegitimate. They can come down and say, oh, every school has to have, you know, a multi-million-dollar upgrade in sprinkler systems, and we're going to exempt all public schools, but privately owned schools that won't employ gays have to get a brand new sprinkler system or something of that nature. Make it policy, make it law. And you're not going to go lobby for your position? You're not going to go lobby for your interest? And even if you show up and lobby, they were like, oh, this is the bearded man that refuses to even vote. What you going to do? Nah, I ain't going to listen to your position. What you going to do? Unelect me? You know, so it's short-sighted and stupid. And I'm saying the anti-voting position is stupid. But so is the people died so I can vote position. It's inaccurate. It's incomplete. No black person died for the vote. Now, black people died trying to exercise their right to vote, but that's different than dying for the vote. And then you have to ask yourself, why did this African lose their life trying to vote? What was the African seeking as a byproduct or as a result of voting, and what was the African being denied by those who wanted to intimidate and even kill them by denying them the right to vote. Because suffrage, which is voting, the right to vote, black suffrage, has been a football tossed around in this country. So Africans wanted to vote because why? They wanted power. They wanted resources. They wanted relief from certain stresses, and they wanted certain opportunities. So that's why they died from trying to secure, using whatever means available to them, whether it's the vote, whether it's the double-barrel shotgun, whether it's the protest, whether it's praying up in them rickety churches. Whatever elements, whatever's made available to them, they use in order to secure their interests, in order to empower themselves and their future generations. So, but you never hear Negroes, people died so that we could be liberated. They never say that. Which is what they did die for, truly. People died for us to own and control our communities. People died to remove the oppressive institutions and agencies like the police, the sheriff's department, child protective services. These agencies that were supposed to serve us but only seem to compound the oppression on us. Taxation without representation. But if you say people died for that, then and you're trying to honor that, then that makes you have to do more than vote. But if I simply say people died so I can vote, and then I take an afternoon to go punch a ballot for some fascist 1, fascist 2, then I can say, well, I fulfilled my duty to my ancestors and future generations, and I'm as great as Dr. Martin Luther King, or I'm as great as, whatever integrationist Negro hero they look up to. Because my people died for me to vote, and now I voted, I'll honor them. Now it's off to the nail salon. It's off to watch millionaire ball chasers in the comfort of my suburban home, because I've fulfilled my legacy obligations for those who died for me to vote. Now I'm voting. Now they didn't die for you to vote. Fool, they died for you to get liberated, for you to be empowered, for you to impose the African will on the people. So on the spaces, at least the spaces you dwell. So they reduce it down that people die, and then nobody died for you to vote. They could care less. Because if we could have got it some other way, we would have get it that other way. So the don't vote and voting is the be-all, end-all. Both of them are wrong. There are two extremes on the seesaw, and they're both wrong. So what's the reality of the vote? And so I'm just trying to talk about the vote because, if we don't get clarity about what the vote means to the colored man and the colored woman, then, talking about the specifics of the political parties, their political platforms, and that's it. If we ain't voting, what's the point? And I do compel African people to vote. If you're disenfranchised because you're not a full citizen, you're an immigrant from the Caribbean, from Africa, or whatever, if you have a felony conviction, you can still engage the political process. You can still be a political mover and shaker. And guess what? Felony disenfranchisement itself is a policy position. That's not written in stone. It's not a natural law. And there are even states in the union that allow felons to vote after they've served their time. There are some regions of the country that even allow prisoners to vote on certain issues while they're serving their time. And we, as subjects of the U.S. empire, are allowed to we could even say, let the inmates vote. Because if you allowed inmates to vote, you'd have 100% voter participation. And that would fundamentally transform. And not only inmates take the time, they have the time. They tend to be well read. I have a homie who went to prison and he read more. I had a homie who did a 6-month bid. And he read more books in that 6 months than he had read in the previous 6 to 16 years. No lie. And he even said it. He's like, I had to be put in the cell to do that. And he said, I felt kind of ashamed. But anyway, that's another point. Anyway, I say the brothers that are locked up, sisters that are locked up, and I worked in Rikers Island for several years in the infirmary. And prisoners tend to be better informed than the average citizen. I guess they don't have all the distractions. They can't go watch ball chasing at whim. They can't come movement. So when you're physically restricted from moving, I guess that allows at least your intellect to move around more. Or you try to use that to compensate. But whole nother discussion. But I'm saying that African people, the vote, what the vote means to black folks, it's not a savior, nor is it irrelevant. Is it an effective tool for an organized people? For people who have a clearly defined agenda, who have a clearly defined timeline and trajectory, it can be an extremely effective tool. The reason it can be so effective is simply because white folks are almost split right down the middle. Well, white people tend to be more, the white population, the majority population in the United States tend to lean more Republican. And the only explanation as to why white people would lean Republican is because white people tend to lean towards being racist. Because besides hating on black folks and other non-white populations, what the blood clot do the Republicans have to offer working class white people? Besides keeping us in check, imagine in their own minds. Keeping Arab boogeymen from under their beds. And I guess keeping black boogeymen from inside under the sheets of their daughters' beds. So, but for the most part, even though it leans heavily Republican, that's right, because if it's not for the black vote, Obama wouldn't have been in office. If you extract a black, Latino, and I'm not trying to diss the Asian population, but I mean their voting population is relatively, statistically, on a national scale. Now, locally, which is the most important arena of politics, really, but I haven't gotten into that. But locally, Asians are very powerful. But on a national, their numbers aren't there yet. They're getting there, but their numbers aren't statistically that relevant. That's why the politicians have to care and give lip service to black folks, especially Hillary when she was going through them southern states, and y'all served up the black vote on a steaming platter with a side of chitlins to that woman, to that racist woman, Hillary. Bring them to Hillary Clinton. But on a national scale, white folks split right down the middle. And so who carries the day? In certain areas, California, Florida, Hispanics. But nationally, black folks, we are the tilt. Now, black folks, we're intelligent, and I have enough respect for black folks. We don't vote for Republicans. I don't know why we can't see the racism of the Democrats, but I guess we figure, But there's two things that move an election. If black people are motivated to vote, it goes Republican. But then it goes Democrat. But when Republicans win, it's not because black folks vote Republican. Republicans win when black folks stay home. So we either go out, and when we do go vote, we vote overwhelmingly for Democrats, and that puts the Democrats in office. When we're not inspired, when we're not motivated, when we're not substantially manipulated, and we stay home, then, the Republicans take it. If you remove the black vote, Obama would have never been president. Obama owes both of his, because he never got the majority of the white vote. If we only counted white votes like we used to, John McCain and Sarah Palin would have been president. And then for his re-election bid, even though he dropped a few percentage points, we would have had who was Romney's running mate? His money? The white horse prophecy. Y'all should look up the white horse prophecy of the Mormon church. They said black folks ain't got no mortal souls. And now we got black Mormons running around. I swear there's nothing, no nonsense white people can't pull out their anus that we not going to sign up for the moment they open it up to us. And if they really want black folks to sign up, if they come pull out some ideology, some religion out of their anus and then exclude us from it and then open it up somewhere down the line, we really show up. So we sign up and we join blatantly racist organizations, blatantly racist religious doctrines and ideologies. But anyway, we would have had our first moron president if not for the black vote. So the black vote is extremely powerful. even when we sit on our hands. But the problem is, we don't use it. Other people are using it. The Democrats pimp our vote. The Republicans manipulate our voter participation by voter ID laws and other ways of disenfranchising us. So our vote is getting manipulated or pimped. But why don't we ever sit down amongst ourselves and decide, we've got a pretty significant, the black vote is what buried Bernie Sanders. Again, if not for the black vote, the American political landscape would look totally different. And why don't we consciously use this power? Because we got black folks who are supposed to be scholarly intelligent saying, don't use that power. Put that gun down in this revolution. Put that book down in this intellectual conflict. Put that information, put that tool down while you're trying to repair a car. We have something that we could be effective in our overall arsenal. Not our only weapon, not the ultimate weapon, but a weapon nonetheless. And we are not in a position as African people to be like tossing resources, opportunities, or strategies aside. You know? Because literally, white Democrats said we want Bernie overwhelmingly. And black folks was like, no, sir. I know me, you and Miss Ann think Bernie was best, but I think Oz knows what's best for you. So we gave the Democratic Party Hillary Clinton. When the white Democrats, but black people being struggling to hold on to our little 13 or 16% of the overall population. But when you go to the Democratic Party, we're over what? 30%? It's some regions where there are nothing but black Democrats. There ain't one white Democrat. Because why aren't there no white Democrats? Because there's too many black Democrats. So you go to certain parts of rural America, the entire Democratic Party, 100% black. You know, and we got that kind of power. And where does the overall policy platform come? From the local parties. You got the local party, you know, then the state Democratic Party, the regional Democratic Caucus, and then you have the DNC, which is the national. But it's supposed to come from the bottom up. That's democracy. People rule. And what do we do with this power? We wait for other people to come and put the options on the table and we get to pick. Oh, you know, elections is like a box of chocolate. You know, I mean, it's so much. But except for like coconut and nougat inside under the chocolate coating, they're species. Elections is like a box of chocolate. And we never slap that out of their hands and say, no, this is who we want to run. This is who we want to run for the state senate, city council, school board, you know, Congress, Senate, presidency. We always letting them tell us who to vote for, or who not to vote for, who to rally behind, or who to sit on our hands and not vote for. We got the power. We have the political power. We just don't exercise it. And because we have this tool that is ineffectively used, misused, or neglected, then we have these black knee-jerk reactionary leaders who don't vote. And they don't even, and so you have this potential power amongst your people. And yes, yes, the political system is corrupt, is dirty, but you got to get in. You got to get in. Don't we know education is biased? Don't we know that black students don't get a fair shake? They're policed more heavily. They're more punitive. And people say, well, don't go to school. And yeah, you homeschoolers trying to front like y'all anti-establishment. But most homeschoolers resort to homeschooling because they think that will give their child an edge up in higher education. So you spend all this time homeschooling your child to send them off to Brown University, send them off to Harvard. When the first black man to secure a PhD from Harvard said that Harvard has ruined more Negroes than bad whiskey. So don't front like you're anti-establishment because you're homeschooling. You're trying to give your child a leg up within the establishment. So don't front. I know a lot of homeschooling families. Show me the homeschooling families like we're homeschooling our child, and right after their last day of homeschooling, we're going to integrate them into our cooperative business. We're going to impart our child the business and keep it all in the loop. No. So you give me your child an Afrocentric education to give them a leg up in the Eurocentric economy. Stop front. And I'm not anti-homeschooling. I'm a homeschooler. I tried to do the cooperative. Y'all don't want to hear my experiences with dealing with black homeschoolers and trying to create an educational cooperative so that parents that didn't have the resources to sit at home looking at their little rugrats all day, they had to go out there and work. Two-parent households where both parents had to work full-time, or single-parent household where the one parent had to get out there and work, so they were forced to get into the education system. And you claim you got African-centered education, but then you do this individualistic, because guess where individualistic homeschooling came from? It's not an African thing. The European oligarchs used to hire tutors and do homeschooling or castle schooling or mansion schooling. That's a Eurocentric solution, a Eurocentric method of education. African education has always been communal and cooperative. So you educating your little child at home, don't front like you're doing an Afrocentric thing. You're doing actually an extremely, not just a Eurocentric, but a Eurocentric oligarchical elitist thing. Homeschooling is elitist and isolationist. And that's a whole nother thing I'm not even talking about. But what I'm saying is, we got to stop front. You telling black folks not to vote. And let me tell you why these black leaders want you not to vote. It's because, oh, we're at the top of the hour. They want us not, let me make this point now, I'm going to do my music and come back and deal with this some more and deal with some specific. They want you not to vote because they don't want you to be empowered, because the more, when you look at misery, the level of misery, insecurity, hardship in the community, you also see the rise of incompetent, demagogic, if that's a word, religious leadership. Meaning that when black people have more confidence, when they have more agency in the society, the religious leaders, the incompetent or ideological leaders have less power. Not saying that they're not even relevant, but they don't have less power. When stuff is good, church attendance go down. When things are bad, they go up. So if I tell black folks, stop, don't vote, don't engage, don't use every instrument at your disposal to empower yourself, then what do you have? I'm not using the vote for empowerment. You tell me that I got to do it economically, but I ain't got no money. You got to have money to make money. I don't have any investment capital. So what do? Look to me, follow me, read my books, watch my lectures on YouTube, show up at my services. So they want to sustain black dependency. Any leader that's not empowering his people, giving power to the people, distributing resources to the people is not a leader. That's a cult of personality. And I'm saying don't vote on policies that will improve your environment. And I'm not saying, like, it's like this. When I've been saying this, I just came up with this one. Brushing teeth doesn't cure cancer. So don't bother to brush your teeth. Right? So that's what, when people tell you not to vote. One thing ain't got nothing to do with the other. Yes, liberation will not come from the vote. I was just reading something Wise Intelligent wrote. He said, we can't reform or legislate ourselves to liberation. Totally agree with that. I don't ever encourage or promote black voter engagement, black political engagement, black attempts to collectively manipulate the political arena that we are subjected to as a liberation tool. Because liberation talk is a different discussion. I'm talking about navigation. It's like, do you want to fight for revolution with lead-contaminated water in your community, or do you want to fight for liberation with non-lead contaminated water? Because that's a public policy issue. Privatization of and decentralization of the water system is a public policy issue. You know. And yeah, you know, not having lead in your water is not going to free you. You still have a myriad of other problems coming down on you. But I'd rather fight for liberation. You know, do you want the police in the schools, and do you want zero tolerance policies? Those are public policy issues. Those are educational policy issues. And guess what? People get to vote on that. You get to vote on and even run for a school board. Will that free you? No. But do you want your child sent to timeout, or do you want them arrested and taken to the precinct for the same behaviors? So I'm saying, even if you have cancer and you're working on the cancer, to cure the cancer, your macrobiotic diet, your prayers and patchouli, whatever you're doing, your radiation, chemo, still brush your teeth. Still take care of your minor hygiene issues even though you have a terminal disease. Yes, we're under oppression, but we also have day-to-day minor things. And I know, our leaders like to sell us this grand, glorious revolution, and we can all, maybe T.I. will share with us where we can now buy black berets. I know where we can, I know where to get leather jackets and leather gloves, but where did he, to complete his ensemble, his revolutionary cosplay, that just blows my mind. Now, I've gotten in trouble for making fun of T.I. because people believe that T.I. and Nick Cannon are truly awakened now, and we should embrace them, So, this is all in good fun. But I'm saying, take care of your housework. And you do have a lot of people that, I'm a revolutionary, so I can't take care and raise my kids. I can't provide emotional love, support, and stability for my spouse. I can't clean my house. I can't, wash my butt because I'm out here fighting for the people. Yeah, you can do that other stuff. Stop front. This glorious revolution thing we have is actually a protracted struggle. We're engaged in a multi-generational, protracted struggle against an entrenched and fully legitimized system. So it's not going to be some glorious up. And even the glorious uprisings, the taking the arms, the Che Guevaras, the Patrice Lumumbas, the Viet Cong, these revolutionary armed forces. If you look and study the Tamil Tigers, when you look at these revolutionary forces, they took sometimes years, decades, or even generations to get to that point. Dr. Clark said, you're not going to run an African economy if you can't operate a candy store in Harlem. And nobody feels the pressure more than me. Even more so than black oppression, black genocide. We are under ecocide, climate change, global warming. There's issues that are pressing, that where we don't have 10 years. But if we ain't doing the right thing today, the good things ain't going to happen tomorrow. And I ain't even saying the right thing. The correct, intelligent thing. So yes, I advocate for black people to register to vote. If they have been disenfranchised by this racist system, I encourage them to engage in local electoral politics. There's so much you can do, and I'm going to get more into that. But the bottom line is, you're not revolutionary because you're not voting. And you ain't revolutionary because you are voting. You are practical, intelligent, and responsible if you're able to register to vote and engage your local political environment. And these black leaders telling black folks, whether you follow Nick Cannon, Nick Cannon, or Dr. Umar, or Minister Farrakhan, or any of these people who say, the vote ain't nothing. It's very simple-minded analysis for simple-minded followers. Don't go for the okie doke. And telling black folks not to vote in the U.S. politics, telling black folks not to engage in U.S. politics, to assert their position, to play their position, to get in where we fit in, and then make that fit bigger and expand on that power. Because we have a lot of power, it's just not properly utilized. It's no different than telling black folks don't engage in the U.S. economy. Because everything you can say to criticize the U.S. political system, it applies to the U.S. economy. It's corrupt, it's racist, it's unfair, and it's not going to free you. You're not going to buy your way or earn your way or spend your way to freedom. So don't engage. But these same people that tell us don't vote are telling us to give them money to start businesses. Everything you can say about the U.S. political system is accurate about the U.S. educational system. It's racist, it's corrupt, and money wasting, blah, blah, blah. But the same people that tell you don't vote are telling you to give them money for a school. I'm saying we got to navigate. We got to fight. We got to engage. We got to plan, strategize, and execute. And if you got a leader who doesn't have politics as a part of their arsenal, who doesn't have a political platform, who doesn't engage in policy analysis, who can't tell you who your local leaders are, who funds them, then you don't have a leader. You have a demagogue. You have a cult of personality. You have a cult. So I'm going to come back, and hopefully for the few of you who are listening, I know after you go and sign the petition that I'm sure is circulating to remove my black card, to snatch away my black credentials, my hood pass, after you sign that petition, come back, and I'm going to talk about the specific political parties and platforms, and I'm going to go, because, we're literally, yesterday was the exact 4-week mark. Yesterday, I think, was the exact 4-week mark, we're 1 month away from the 2016 general election. What does it mean to black? And I know we don't have enough time right now to really transform black people politically. But we need to organize. We have so much potential power politically in this country. In Chicago. And Dr. Claude Anderson said, when you are the majority, he said, this is a quote-unquote, it's not really a democracy. Yeah, we can get into that too. But he said, when you are the majority, act like the majority. There's no reason why we shouldn't rule. Because when you rule the politics, rule the economy, rule the culture, in the regions where we represent the majority, south side of Chicago, Detroit, Brooklyn, New York City, where they paint murals are big. There were so many places where we could have created these powerful enclaves. We had brilliant people, from the late Dr. Wilson to, Claude Anderson is still here, y'all. He wanted black towns, Africa towns, all over America, ethnic enclaves, group economics. The plans, the policies are here. We're just missing out on the executions because our leaders, our so-called leaders, the majority of the people we allowed to step up and be our leaders, whether it's old, stagnant, dusty, crusty leaders that's been around for 60 years and don't have a track record of consistent progress or even rational policies for us, of rational agendas. I don't want to say the names. Whether it's these semi-new leaders, these princes, self-appointed princes, or kings, queens, whatever, to these brand new leaders. I think T.I., just the fact that he was able to find a black beret, he's got some skills, y'all. Because, if y'all ask me, if I was the black leader and y'all was like, we want berets, I'm like, I can't help y'all. I know I'm here to serve the people, but I don't know where the heck to find. I've been in and out of a few stores. I ain't really a shopper like that, but I look around. I'm an observant individual. I ain't seen a black beret in the last 20 years. So that alone maybe qualify him for to be taken seriously as a leader. He's the kind of dude that can secure what you need. I don't know his voice. What y'all need? Because if he can get black berets, he can get us anything we need. It's the go-to man. But anyway, you listen to Q4 Radio, AM 1680. City of Chicago, broadcasting from 2525 North Elston. The number is 312-985-7834. Let's slow that down. 312-985-7834. If you want to call in, chime in, call me Uncle Tom Sellout, trying to vote for the man to free us, which I never said, but I know that's what people are going to say, what they think I said, not what I actually said, and I'm used to that. I'm going to take a short musical break, and we'll be back to talk about the four major parties and some alternative parties. You don't even have to vote Democrat or Republican, because I sure as hell ain't. You can vote. There are even revolutionary communist political party you can join and be a card-carrying member, and you can run for office under the Revolutionary Communist Party. Libertarian Party, if you're that stupid and you want to get around other really stupid people, become a libertarian. There's options. But I'm going to talk about what we need to be doing with our vote. Because I've already said we should be engaged politically. Now, how specifically? But anyway, this is tragedy. Arrest the president. Trump said he was going to lock up Hillary. That's enough for me to vote for him. What is with these volumes? If it ain't one thing, it's another. I can't get the volume up on that. Alright, this is all great. Anyway, I want to play something else anyway. Alright, I'll come back to Tragedy Gaddafi when I figure out what's wrong with these boards. Alright, so let's go to our next music selection. Paint the White House Black by the legendary Parliament Funkadelic. Alright. I'm going off live. Thank you for tuning in live. Now you can hear the rest of the show. Q4.org, QUE number 4. You can go to the Q4 Facebook page. Or you can, what else? That's it. Or AM 1680 if you're in the Chicago area. So please remain tuned in. Going off live, but I'm still going to be on the air till 9. Peace.